with the Commanders. Wake your asses up. What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite TIO Al Cintron. What is whose music is that? What the hell is that?
I love it though.
Oh, St. John to the building. What's going on? Welcome to the newest edition, the latest edition of TIO Al Friends, and the friends are back together again. There's no more bachelor party. Don't worry, Pete. We're not going to ask you to reveal the secrets. All right. Gallo is back in his dungeon. I see he's got with this background behind him. And so let's get started. Welcome back, fellas. Everybody's back together.
What's
Yes,
up?
sir.
All right, so the big news, obviously, it happened. I was sleeping. I'm not going to lie. Pete Alonso is back with the Mets. And let me first say this. Thank God this is over. Whichever way it went, I was good with. I didn't care. I lost interest. I was annoyed. I was fed up. I got tired of the fans complaining that the Mets did Pete dirty. Let me remind you for the umpteenth time, he turned down 7 years for $158 million. So can we cut the BS? I thought 3 for 73 was perfect, 24.3 million a year, but he gets 2 years. What is it? 54 million up to 30 million, most likely. The thing I love about this contract the most is it doesn't hamstring, whatever want to use them when it comes to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., whether they trade for him at the deadline or get him next offseason. I'm done. I'm glad this is over with. I even had Evan put up a poll for me because mad people vote in this poll. I said, Evan, can you put this out for me? Which Met did you want back the most? Reyes, Alonso, or DeGrom? And free agency. For me, it would have been Strawberry, but a lot of people weren't even alive. And it came out so far, DeGrom's winning. It goes to show how stupid this fan base is. But Gallo, I'm going to start with you first because Evan says you hate Pete. You know, my neighbor says you hate Pete. Even my dog says you hate Pete. What's the verdict? How do you feel about this? Pete Alonso being back?
Well, your dog can kick rocks. No, but first of all,
Oh my God.
yeah, it's Jose Reyes, and it's not even close.
That's what I voted.
That was me growing into a man moment. Not to get sidetracked. Like, losing him was like, all right, this stuff, nothing matters. Kayfabe's dead. All that. But anyway, the Pete Alonso thing, first of all, I agree. Like, when, funny enough, Pete texted the group chat and said, like, we're texting and I see him go, oh man, or something like that. It's probably like, oh shit. And then I'm like, uh-oh, what is it? And he sends the Alonso news. It was a relief. And it wasn't a relief because this got done. It was a relief because we could move on. The fans could shut up and we could move on. But as today went on, I kind of got excited, like very excited for the season. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't really care if he came back or not. But now that he's back and I look at that lineup, and you could now not having to slot Vientos over, and it creates, possibly an avenue that they get rid of McNeil, and now you have young guys fighting for that second base job. I'm very excited now. And another side note, shout out to like Evan Roberts said this today. It was one of the few times that it felt like an owner did something for the fans. Like realistically, I don't think they wanted to bring him back or like they felt it was a priority. But I think after they got reactions from fans and there was probably nothing else they're going to do that is like a major move, maybe some minor league moves, I think this was awesome.
Well, before you go, Pete, I forgot. I was said in the beginning I was going to do this. Happy birthday to my nephew. Yesterday was his birthday, and today is my mom's birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. I'm wearing the Mets cancer hat because she's a breast cancer survivor. So I just wanted to say happy birthday, Mom. Touch on you, Gallo. We just said real quick, Pete, before I throw it to you. I'm the same way as you. The more I thought about it, I was excited. Like, okay, it's over with. Okay, now Pete's here. Well, are we going to get, corporate Pete again, which sucked last year, or are we going to get frat boy Pete who's like, F it, this might be my last year at City Field, I should say. So let me wild out, let me hump the rails, let me take my shirt off, let me go back to cursing. That's the Pete I want back. I want that frat boy Pete back. No more corporate Pete. Just go out there and kill it this year, Pete.
Pete, let's go. It's time. Pete is back. This is great. This is a win-win. Like, how could you be upset about this as a Mets fan? There's no reason to be upset about this. I want Pete humping the rails. I'm all in. This is simple to me. I think the initial reaction to most wise Mets fans was, oh my God, David Stearns did it. Right? Like we haven't given him enough credit yet on this podcast. I know we have in our own text chats and our Twitters and whatever. Like David Stearns did what he set out to do. He didn't want to break the bank for this guy. He didn't want to overextend his payroll and his contractual obligations to Pete Alonso. And guess what? He didn't. So now the win now move of keeping Pete Alonso with New York and with the Mets right now is here. And this lineup is better because he's a part of it. And yet the flexibility is still there. The Mets can still do whatever the hell they want right now or moving forward. This is a masterclass by David Stearns. And like I said on the last time three of us were together, no one's rooting for Scott Boras. Well, people may have been, iffy on David Stearns. After this move, you got to be all in on what David Stearns just pulled off.
Right.
I'm glad
you said that too.
This fan base, they're never happy. Now, as soon as this went down, immediately I started getting text messages. Well, the starting pitching sucks. This starting staff. I know this starting staff compared to last year's has the potential to be better. In my opinion, I think Quintana, he has his moments where he struggles, and he has a good stretch, and then he is what he is. Severino, good for him last year. He got paid because of last year. Good for him. Montas can be better than Severino. He can. He's just got to stay healthy. Manaya, I think we're going to get the same thing from him this time for a whole season. Kodai Senga, I think he'll be the ace. I think everybody shits on him because he didn't pitch last year, and when he did, he got rocked in the Dodgers series. Everybody forgets his rookie season. I think Kodai Senga is going to be the anchor of this staff. David Peterson, I think he finally found himself this year. So, and Clay Holmes, I honestly think, seeing him at camp early, hearing the things he's saying, he's smiling. And he has a beard. These people are happy. Yeah, I wonder why. They get to be themselves as Mets. I think he's going to be a legit solid starter as well. So all these Met fans, they're never going to be happy. I'm happy with what I see right now. And let's not forget, like you said, there's flexibility. What do we do at second base? Can we get rid of McNeil's contract? Or can we package Marte and get some pen help? That way you could slide one of the young cats to second base. And you could have one of the other young cats DH with Wink as well. So the Mets still have flexibility. I hope they can move one of these contracts. If one of these guys was to go, which contract do you think is easier to move, Marte's or McNeil's?
Because they're about the same AAV, right? Like I think they're both in that like $17-18 million range. I might be wrong. But it's McNeil. I think one, it's easy for me to move on from him. Marte's one of my favorite players on the team, but I'm okay if they trade him. But it's easier for me to move on. I also think that teams will view McNeil more valuable. Batting champ, younger. His injuries are normally things that happen like in the field. It's never like he pulls up lame, at least not from what I can remember. And I do think teams value him in the sense of he's a little bit of a redundancy with the Mets. He's a bat the ball guy. I think he has a bad approach, but I do think teams that'll view his positive, his positional versatility, all of that as a plus. And they're not going to get a lot for him, but I think he'd be easier to move than Marte, who's essentially a fourth defensive outfielder and he's your DH. Like he's not playing the outfield every day, and he's really not good enough to lock up the DH spot either.
So I just looked at the contract to clarify. McNeil is 15 and change million with an extra year on the deal and then a club option on the deal. Marte's this is his last year at 20 million. So with that coming into the equation, I think Marte could be the easier move because then he's kind of looked at as a rental. Hey, we need some outfield depth. We need a guy who can, do one thing for 1 year. Here's Starling Marte. But McNeil, for the versatility side of it, absolutely. Somebody's talking themselves into it. Oh, all he needs is a change of scenery, right? He's been in New York for too long. There's been too much pressure on him. This dude can still hit. He just needs to get out of New York. So I think they're both options. If I had to say who would be the easier trade, I would say probably Marte solely just because it's like kind of like in the NBA when you hear about, trading an expiring contract. That would be the only reason. Though. Otherwise, I'd say I'd agree with you with McNeil. But I have a question for you guys real quick, if you don't mind, Al.
Sure.
I was talking about this with Mets Muse yesterday on a live Twitter Spaces, and he brought this question up. I want to ask you guys this. Is this now becoming the most anticipated opening day or most anticipated season in your Mets fan life?
You want to go first, Al?
No, you can go.
I think that I'm not going to say it's bigger than 07, but this is the most anticipated season for me since 07. That team felt loaded. They were coming off of outside of the Subway Series, but I was very young for that. I was in high school for the other one. Like that was the first big season, 06. So 07 felt bigger because I felt coming into the season, we were the best team in the league. Like I felt like if Beltran makes that swings the bat or Heilman doesn't give up the home run, we're winning the World Series, and this is the start of maybe a dynasty because they were young, they had the contracts, everything was there. Like the team was together. They were probably a starting pitching away. They got Johan the next year. So 07 for me, but this is the closest. I think if the Dodgers weren't around, this would be the most anticipated season for me. But just not like I've only had one season where I felt they were the best team, and it was 07, which I was wrong. But you know, hindsight's 20.
No, I agree with you on that one because I don't want to take it to my childhood, but when the Mets won the World Series in '86, many thought that was going to be a dynasty. You know, if it wasn't for cocaine and hookers and injuries, it could have been a dynasty.
Well, we weren't talking about my weekend.
Be careful, Pete. Fan, they might piss test you. Be careful, Pete. No, but to me, as for my childhood, it's this 87, 88. We could have had a dynasty, didn't have it. But most recently, I think you're right, Gallo, 07. You know, the Mets were a better team in 06. It's just, you know, things happen. Luck was on the Cardinals' side. You need luck to go your way, to go on your side to win championships. Everything with the Cardinals' way. The Mets would have smoked the Tigers as well in that World Series. So I agree. It's 07. For me, it's 07. And then 08, because we want to see how the Mets bounce back from 07 only to choke again in 08.
And we got Johan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
being years removed from those seasons, I kind of was trying to remember the exact timeline of all those signings because as a kid, I'm like 12, 13 years old at that time frame. Jose Reyes was my favorite player on the Mets. Carlos Beltran was one of my favorite non-Mets when they got him, just because I was a big center fielder guy. Delgado, like a living legend at that point in time. And you're putting this team together with David Wright, and you're like, what? This is electric. This is crazy. The Mets are actually right here. This, to me, is probably passing it, I think. And that's maybe with a little bit of recency bias, a little bit of here we are right now. But even
that's a good one, Pete.
Even with the Beltran signing back then, like it wasn't quite Juan Soto. So I'm thinking this is the most anticipated Mets season in my lifetime. I can't go back to the 86, 87 range, but this might be number one for me.
Well, I'll say this too. And to add to this, the one thing I will say is I am completely confident that even if this year comes and goes and we are disappointed what happened, ownership and I believe in Stearns, even if we have something was to go wrong and the season didn't turn out right. But with Stearns and Cohen, I feel like the future is full of endless possibilities. And it's not just about like spending money, but it's about infrastructure and development, all these things that they do within the franchise outside of roster building. It feels like this is a start of a new era. I know that Cohen's been here and Stearns has been here, but last year was our first taste. And with Soto, this just feels like the beginning of something special. Like 10 times as much as when we signed Pedro and Beltran. This feels like that, like 10 times as much.
Now, you mentioned the 06 team with Delgado and Reyes and Wright and Beltran. Look at the Mets top four in this lineup, too. You're going to have, no matter how you put it, I still think it should be Lindor, Soto, because look at the season Lindor had with pretty much not that. He's going to have Juan Soto behind him. If Lindor can get on, steal second, now you have opportunities for Soto, then Pete, and Vientos. That's the way I would do it. If you want to flip-flop, you want to do righty-lefty, you could throw Nimmo fifth or fourth, whatever you want to do. But to me, you put it's Lindor, Soto, Pete, and Vientos, or Vientos, then Pete, and then Nimmo. Look at that 06 team. You had Reyes. Who was second? Beltran?
No, Leduc.
Then it was LaDuca.
Third, yeah, LaDuca.
Yeah, Beltran, Delgado, and
Right.
So
it was
look at that.
After that, I think for him.
Cliff Floyd.
Cliff Floyd was on that team.
Sure.
That team was stacked. Yeah. That team was stacked, and I agree with Gallo. This is the most anticipated season since then. I think this Met team is still going to make a move or two before the deadline or at the deadline. Look at the way Stearns did with the bullpen last year. If you suck, see you later. You were thrown in the garbage. It's as simple as that. Do the Mets make a move for Cease, or you think they stand pat for now?
Well, I think that they're done with major moves, and that includes trades, unless they end up asking for not a lot. Like, if it's not like, the Mets' top 2 prospects, but, a handful of prospects, but like they avoid giving up like a Clifford or a Gilbert or a Jet Williams in like a package, and it's only maybe one of those guys, maybe, but I don't see that happening.
I think with David Stearns, we have to be fully aware that the pitching staff is always ready for a move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that means Dylan Cease. I think that means Michael King. I think all of those names are on the table. If it doesn't happen before the season, that doesn't mean David Stearns is done. He's just getting started. He's made a couple of things very, very clear. One of which was he ain't overpaying Pete Alonso. We're done with that. And the second one is that he's always going to be looking to add pitchers. So if King is still available, if Cease is still available when the season starts, he's got a finger on that pulse. So I think that adds to my excitement. Now, with a guy like Stearns running the show and a guy like Cohen willing to pull the trigger behind him, this team is never done until the deadline's over, right? They are going to look to add. They are going to look to be better, and that adds to my excitement.
Well, if I could just add one more thing. The other thing is too, they're going into the season with a couple of starting pitching prospects and a handful of position player prospects and guys who have gotten tastes. You're going to have Acuna, Beatty, Mauricio, potentially Clifford and Gilbert, and I'm sure there's guys that are in the middle of that prospect ranking that are just eligible to get called up, so they might get called up. But you have a lot of guys that can fill holes, and they won't need to fill holes. It's like a luxury. And then starting pitching wise, to your point, Al, I think it's going to be better than last year. They also have depth, and then you add on top of it a guy like, I always mess up his name. It's Sprout.
Sprout.
See, I nailed it that time. I usually call him Sprout.
You did.
But then you have a guy like Sprout where, again, not a necessity, but a luxury that you potentially could call him up, and he could be a spark or a major player. Same thing for any of the young guys, even if they're just a role player. So it's a good thing to have, to not have to rely on that, but to have that luxury.
Now, they did sign Nick, was it Madrigal?
Yeah.
They did, which means to me it's the end of Jose Iglesias. They came out that they offered him 1 year deal. He wants a multi-year deal. OMG, see you later. It is what it is. The only thing I don't like about it, the Mets are lacking a shortstop on the current roster. That's if you don't go to break camp with Acuna, because a lot of times you want the young guys to stay in the minors to keep working on their craft as opposed to sit on the bench and rotting away. It's gonna suck not having Iglesias on this team. Who knows? Maybe some changes, and the Mets bring him in and say, we'd rather have you than Madrigal. Who cares? We'll cut his ass. I mean, you see how David Stearns eats money. I mean, Steve Cohen eats money. Your thoughts on Iglesias no longer being a part of the team?
I'll let you go first, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it sucks, but it's okay, right? This is the same concept with the New York Knicks when they lose an Emmanuel quickly, right? And obviously you can't go 1-to-1 with basketball to baseball, but the 6-man is almost equivalent to the utility infielder in some, not quite, but you get the point, right? We were sad to see Quickly go. We were sad to see RJ Barrett go, kind of. Yes, of course, we're sad. This is not what we were hoping for with Jose Iglesias and what he did last year for this team, but it's okay, right? The likelihood of him hitting 320 again is really low. Obviously, we know what he can do in the field and all that stuff, but we're going to live. We're going to live without Jose Iglesias. It's okay. The vibes are here. We don't need him singing in front of the stadium anymore. It's all good. We'll figure out a new gimmick at some point, I'm sure, but it sucks, but it's okay.
By the way, you see his agent, right?
No.
I believe he signed with Scott Boras.
Nah.
No way.
Scott Boras in the music industry? I didn't know that.
Can we check that? Because I could have swore on Twitter I saw that Iglesias was now represented by Scott Boras, which could be a problem if he's looking for a multi-year deal. Yeah, that's about Scott Boras right there for sure. That's a Scott Boras thing. I think he's his agent. Let's just make sure we get that right.
I think I'm not seeing anything.
I think it is.
Yeah, it's Scott Boras.
Man. See, yep, it's Scott Boras. So good luck. Hey, Jose Iglesias, my advice to you, ready? Good luck getting that multi-year deal because Scott Boras is your agent. Because it's not happening, brother. Now, before we switch topics, looking at this Mets team right now, you got to.
I just wanted to add real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The only way it's possible is if they get rid of McNeil, because that means they trust one of the young guys at second base or Madrigal, and then you essentially are probably going to bring Iglesias in to be that utility defensive replacement. Because you're, like you said, Al, they're not going to keep Beatty will stay on the bench, but a Mauricio or Acuna, I don't think if they're not guaranteed at least 350 at bats, they're not staying in the majors.
They'll be on the Vientos program when Vientos in the minor leagues tearing it up and just ready to go. I think you're wasting Mauricio on his bench, Acuna on this bench, which also makes me think that one of those guys, if the Mets are really looking for, because King's on the final year of his deal, Cease on the final year of his deal, one of those guys could be moved, and him and like some low-level prospect. I don't want to get rid of Mauricio Acuna. Is he telling me it means you get a healthy Cease or King for 25, 30 starts this year? Then it's win now. Lindor's 31. Soto's 26, and then next year, who knows if Pete's back? And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I said it on there, and I'll say it again. Vladdy's going to be a Met. You think he wants to get paid in Canadian dollars, $450 million when they tax you at 50%? Get the fuck out of here!
Soon.
Get the fuck out of here! He's not staying there. Well, we'll see what happens with that. But looking at this line, we got Alonso at first, second base. I don't know who it is. That's to be determined. Lindor, Vientos, Nimmo, Siri, Soto, Alvarez, and then a platoon at DH: Winker and Marte. Then the rotation is Singa, Holmes, Peterson, Minaya, and Montas. And then the bullpen. Stanek is back. Canning out the bullpen, long relief. Sean Reed-Foley, Garrett, Nunez if he's healthy, Buto, Minter, and Diaz. I feel like we need one more lefty out of this bullpen. Thoughts on the current roster as we speak? And I didn't include the bench players because who the hell knows what they're going to be?
Well, I right now, honestly, I agree. A left-handed reliever is probably the only thing that I would feel a need to have, but also with the 3-batter minimum, having multiple lefties isn't like going in. You need it eventually, but going into the season with just one right now wouldn't be the end of the world. Otherwise, I'm pretty content with the roster. If they're going to bring in a Dylan Cease or a Michael King, yeah, I'm all on board. Even I don't know if he signed yet, but that's what I was trying to find. If Andrew Chafin, who's a lefty, and he
signed.
He did sign. Okay,
yeah, he signed.
The only other lefty I could think of that was on the top of my list that didn't sign yet. I guess he did sign.
Yeah.
Like offensively, I feel better, and I know I'm giving a lot of hope or benefit of the doubt to the young guys. I would feel better if McNeil and Marte don't have to be relied on consistently and for the lineup, but I do love it either way. Like, especially the potential for a top 5 or 6. And if they wanted to hit Nimmo like 9th, to have that wraparound with a high on base guy before the leadoff guy hits again, you still could have a deep lineup up into your 6th batter, and then you have Siri and whatever second base is.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited.
Yeah, I don't think Nimmo's going to bat 9th. I can see Siri being the 9th guy in this lineup. Or maybe the second baseman, whoever. If Acuna's the second baseman, I would love him at the bottom of the lineup because his speed, and you bring it back up to Lindor. Now you can get both guys on, cause havoc on the bases. Yeah.
I think almost.
Yeah, I would love Acuna to bat 9th on his team and play second. I thought he proved himself well when Lindor was out. The team could have easily crumbled. He could have been a stiff, and he wasn't. He carried his weight in water. So, and Pete, what do you think so far about the roster as a whole? Danny Young is on the roster. He's a lefty, but we'll see what happens in spring training.
The roster's really good. If this wasn't a year where the National League was absolutely stacked, we would be literally just having a party right now. But the NL East is a juggernaut. The Dodgers are a juggernaut. The whole NL West is pretty good. So I'm not going to sit here.
Got really good too.
Who?
The Cubs also got really good.
Yeah, and the Cubs got better. So like the NL is stacked. So that's going to weather my expectations like just a touch. Obviously, like making the playoffs is an absolute must in this scenario.
Oh, they better.
Dude, well, yeah, of course, right? But the Braves and Phillies are really freaking good, right? So it's not like this is going to be a cakewalk, walk in the park to winning the NL East, no matter what, right? Even if they add in one of the remaining left-handers and, make another move for Michael King or Dylan Cease, nothing's a guarantee with how good the NL is right now. And that's like my big thing right now with all the excitement that I have, with how happy and satisfied I am with this lineup and this roster, the pitching staff, the whole 9. It still has to be seen in real life. It still has to happen in real life because the NL is just that good. It's kind of like looking at the Western Conference in the NBA right now. Like, yeah, the Oklahoma City Thunder are number 1. And then you look 2 through 9, and like every team is really good, right? So the Dodgers are number 1. They're the guy on top of the mountain that everyone's trying to knock off. And then the Phillies, the Braves, the Mets, the Cubs, the Padres, they're all competing at really high levels. So no walk in the park, but I am absolutely satisfied with the roster.
Yeah, I'm pumped for the season. Like you said, if they don't make the playoffs, this will be probably the biggest disaster since the 07-08 seasons for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you sign Juan Soto to all the money you did. You bring back Pete Alonso. You have Francisco Lindor finish second MVP. In my opinion, he should have been MVP. I know Shohei Ohtani did what he did as the DH. I'm MVP is both sides of the ball. I do not care. A pitcher shouldn't win MVP unless it's a super dominant season. But to me, Lindor should have been MVP. But that's an argument for another day. You cannot go and flop and finish fourth with this team.
No.
It'll be a complete disaster. The organization will be killed. To me, the key to this offense also as well, if we need Francisco Alvarez enough. We need a monster season from him to solidify the bottom of this lineup. We can't have him swinging at. If you thought Pete swinging at balls in Poughkeepsie was bad, we can't have him swinging at balls in Honduras. It's not going to work out. Am I wrong in saying this about Francisco Alvarez? I mean, the time is now.
My concerns with Alvarez would be if it bled into his defensive play, because he has really improved year to year. He's completely blown the narrative that he's like a poor defender behind the plate. He can't be as bad as he was at times last year, but I don't need him to be what we thought he was going to be, which was like, a perennial 30-bomb guy. He just needs to be a serviceable bat and play good defense, but he has the potential to be a special bat. So I do think there's, again, a little bit of hope. And, this guy also, the one thing I will say is not afraid of really anything at a young age. He felt like a leader early on in the season when they were struggling. And even in 2023, when they had poor points, he had all those clutch hits. So I feel like he could just get it done at the plate. And I agree with you. It'll be a major moment, but I don't think we need him to be like a guy who carries us at times.
I'm ready to go on a limb. Francisco Alvarez will be a monster this year. Francisco
Let's
Alvarez,
go.
He will hit 30+ home runs this year.
Let's go.
This guy's locked in, bro. Like, this guy wants to be great. He wants to be looked at as one of the best catchers in baseball. What does he have it on tattooed on his neck? It says, "I'm
the
him."
best.
Oh, the best.
The best in pink. The best.
The best. Like, this dude is no joke. And I mean, if you follow him on Instagram, sometimes they're like, all right, dude, we get it. You're working out. But he's putting in the time. He's putting in work out there with the catching drills, with the hitting stuff. He wants to be great, and he has all the ingredients, man. He batted, 240 last year, only a dozen home runs or so. I'm all in on Alvarez getting back to that 30 home run mark. I will be betting his over. I will be probably betting his alternate over on home runs. Shout out to my guy, Cody O'Connor, who went out on a limb last year saying that he was going to be over 23.5, over 27.5, over 30.5. He laddered it up all the way as high as DraftKings would let him. I'm doing that this year. This is the year that Alvarez comes out and puts his stamp on the catcher position in the bigs.
Well, your boy's not the only one, because I thought Alvarez was 30 bombs last year, and I was completely wrong. Now, the injury, I think it was hurting him more than it was led on to believe the season went on. But you mentioned his defense as well, Gallo. I think he might have been up to a pass balls, though. There were times where and Keith would kill him and say that should not be a pass ball.
He gets scoop happy.
Yeah. He gets a little lazy behind the plate, and when he shouldn't, he should just go all in. So hopefully these workouts this offseason and spring training, he corrects that. Listen, he has the work ethic. It's obvious. He's got the hot OnlyFans girl as well. So he's put in his work. You know what I'm saying? But I'm expecting at least 20 to 25 home runs from Alvarez this year.
Well, my other thing was defensively, like, I do agree, like, he struggles at time to cover the plate, but he frames the ball well. He calls a good game. All these guys seem to love pitching to him. I remember when he got called up, and then in 2023, when he finally got a full year, Scherzer was like, I trust this guy. For as much as I didn't like Scherzer, for a guy who's a future Hall of Famer to say that about essentially a rookie catcher, that was big. And for me, you saw it not just the year before, but last year you saw it a lot, because even when he was struggling at the plate, he was able to frame the ball, and the pitchers were trusting him.
Yeah, I'm expecting a big season from Alvarez. I hope he delivers. Because I'm not expecting big things from Siri. He's killing it in winter ball. My God, if you have him and Winker on the same team, showboating, oh baby, I cannot wait. We're gonna be fighting with everyone. Yes,
I'm very excited.
Yeah. We're gonna be fighting with everyone. Let Reese Hoskins slide to second base so he doesn't get the people's elbow from Siri from center field. Because Jeff McNeil, that was weak sauce. You did that little bitch fest at second base. You should have dropped an elbow instead of crying like a little biatch.
Well. Don't get me started about Jeff McNeil right now.
Listen, everybody knows how I feel about McNeil. And it's funny because the whole Happy Jeff thing is coming up again this week. And I talked about it for well over a year. It's no coincidence that came out. Like the team has had it with his negative attitude when he gets down the dump. So if you can start the season and upgrade the pen in some way, get some depth on his team, you can get rid of his contract, pay a little of it, and let the kids play. Put Acuna at second base. You have him up the middle with Lindor. Yeah, his speed in the lineup. It's an electric energy that this team desperately needs to go. I'm tired of McNeil. Marte's Soto's friend, so I can see McNeil going before Marte. Marte was a part of the recruiting trip for Soto.
And there's a lot of leadership that you get from Marte. And I do think that he doesn't have the pop anymore. I do think that he doesn't get enough credit for being a professional hitter. Like, he's not worth the money, but when he's up there, it's not like in the playoffs, he was great at the plate. Like, I don't need him to hit 20 bombs. I mean, it'd be nice if he could, he stole some bases last year. It'd be nice if he could regain his mobility just to steal. He doesn't have to play defense, like just to steal, but I don't hate him at the plate. He has an approach, which on the other side, McNeil might be able to do more than him right now, but his approach is awful.
I think Marte gets dinged a little bit for being so jacked, right? Everyone sees how ripped he is, how he looks like a supermodel, and they expect him to just hit nukes all the time. He's not like a swing for the fences launch angle guy, right? Gallo, that's what you're talking about. Like, his approach is legit. Fires the ball to the right side. It's amazing to watch. And everyone, all the baseball fans out there who complain, oh, it's just strikeouts and home runs. Like, no, that's not everybody, right? Like, you got Marte, he's just ripping line drives to right center, hitting the ball through the hole on the right side. It's important to have those types of guys in the lineup, and it was absolutely important to have him in the lineup in the playoffs last year. It showed out in every way possible.
I totally agree. And that's my point. Like, exactly what you said. Like, he goes up, he's able to go the other way. You saw it in the playoffs that when they needed to get a hit, it felt like there was a good 3 or 4 game stretch where it felt like Marte was getting the job done. So, and on the opposite side, I'm not going to kill him completely because he came right off an injury. When they put Jeff McNeil at the plate, I just remember being there game 3 at NLCS. He stepped up with I think it was the bases loaded, and everyone was just like, this inning's over. Like, the entire stadium, forgot, came up and was like, oh my God.
Well, the good thing about Marte is the ladies love him too. So that I had to say that the ladies in the Met chat that we have, they love Marte. They call him Poppy. So they love
too, man. Jesus.
They call him Poppy. They love him. So I had to give the ladies some love when it comes to Marte. We'll see what happens. Yankee fans, listen, I didn't forget you guys. It's just that nothing's been going on with you guys. You guys already went crazy in the beginning of the offseason. Now the big question is for you guys, and we'll get into this another time because this is not an exciting topic. DJ LeMahieu at third base. It's just not worth talking about right now.
I seen a meme out there, like that famous British, corn star, as they say. She has the sign with 1,000. Have you all seen this person? You know what I'm talking about? Well, to break the news for you, if you need to do some research later on, go do it on your own time. There's a British porn star who did 1,000, like Wilt Chamberlain.
I think
1,000, bro, for real. So
I know what you're talking about.
That picture, and the caption was, "How many ground balls will DJ LeMahieu ground out with this year?"
That's kind of like an athletic achievement, if we're being honest.
I call him DJ LeMay PU, bro. Like, that's and looking at the Yankees lineup, I think it's a solid lineup. The pitching staff's fantastic. Their bullpen, they just got Tim Hill back, which a guy I wanted on the Mets. He was offered the second year, I think, so that's why he went back to the Yanks. The Yanks are set up and ready to go. If they don't go to the World Series, Yankee fans, breaking news: you don't go to the World Series, big problems. Big problems. It's that simple.
Pete made the comparison to the Western Conference. I wish the Knicks played in the American League. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said I know Yankee fans don't want to hear it. Whoever comes out the National League is going to win the World Series. I don't care who it is. That gauntlet gets you. That makes you tough. Like, the Yankees are going to have a cake, and good for them. I'm not hating on them. Let me just clear that up. They have an easier road. That's good for them. If they don't get there, it's going to be a big embarrassment. But Yankee fans getting on me, oh, you don't talk about the Yankees. What is there to talk about? There's nothing to talk about in Yankees. Hector, who's behind the scenes doing a great job, there's nothing to talk about with the Yankees. There really isn't. So Yankee fans, not hate. It's just there's nothing to talk about. Now let's go on.
To your point, they're going to be good. So there's nothing to talk about. It's the offseason.
No.
It should be like that.
They made all their moves. They made the big splashes. The Cody Bellingers, the Paul Goldschmidts, the rest of the AARP club that they got there. Good for them. Like they got every.
They didn't make a big splash. They did a pencil dive into the shallow end, bro.
I like what they did this offseason. I think they had a great offseason.
No, it was good, but it wasn't a big splash. Nothing wrong with the pencil dive. It's a nice little jump into the pool, but it's not making big splashes.
Well, they got Freed. They got Devin Williams. They got the kid Cruz from Cincinnati. They got Paul Goldschmidt. Who am I missing here? They got Cody Bellinger. I mean, I think they. Yankee scraps. Dom Smith. Didn't they? Met scraps. Didn't they get Carlos Carrasco too?
Yeah.
Minor
league deal.
I can't kill anybody that survived cancer. I'll just leave it alone. Carlos Carrasco. Good luck with him on your staff if he makes the roster.
Well, I can tell you this much: if Dom Smith, kill me right now. Dom Smith steps up to the plate and somehow is playing during the Subway Series. I'm giving him a standing O. That's my guy.
Really, Dom Smith?
I love Dom Smith. Real quick, we can move on after this.
Yeah.
One of the most freezing cold takes of my life was that the Mets should get rid of Pete to let Dom Smith take over at first and coup assets. So thank God I don't run the team. So. Oh
no! It takes a real man to admit his mistakes. Cold take, Pete. You got one of those cold takes. Like, what the f was I thinking? I got one too.
I also thought that Dom Smith was going to be good. I didn't go, that hard. I'm trying to think of a Mets themed cold take for myself here.
No, anyone. If you got a cold take, you're like, damn, I can't believe I said that.
I still think Frank Ntilikina's got juice.
Oh, get out of here!
God.
Hey, listen, you asked for a cold take, bro. I thought he was going to be good, man.
I did not expect that.
I don't know. Mine might be worse. And I did in the draft. I thought Mark Sanchez would be better than Matthew Stafford. I can eat that one. Now the least worse. Yeah. Okay, because at least he made 2 AFC Championship games, But I thought Sanchez would be better than Matt Stafford.
I also like Josh Rosen, so I'll wear that one.
I never. I don't have that one.
Well, last one, just because I like laughing at myself.
Yeah.
St. John shirt. I also tweeted that Shamori Pawns, if you know who Shamori Pawns is,
of course,
is going to be better than Trae Young the night of the draft. Trae Young went like 7. Shamori Pawns didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
I hate to chime in on the conversation. But for me, Clee Anthony Early, when the Knicks drafted him, selfishly because he grew up upstate New York with my cousins, I thought Clee Anthony Early was going to be something. Shout out to Clee Anthony Early. If you know, you know what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out.
Man, by the way, Heck, how many people in the building?
We got over 215 people in the building watching us right now, over 20 on YouTube. If you guys are watching us on Facebook, on Twitter, or on Instagram, click the link in the bio, jump on over to YouTube, smack that like button and subscribe button for Theo, Al, and Los Amigos.
All right, let's go. So now switching topics. I couldn't wait to play that one. He played it with me off, then he got Gallo, then he got you, Pete. So he hit the trifecta with all that. So shout out to Heck for that one. Now, the craziest NBA trade deadline I can ever remember happened this week. And although there was not much noise made today, I was hoping there'd be a crazy amount of trades today. There really wasn't much. But you had Luka to the Lakers, AD to the Mavs, Fox to the Spurs. I'm going to move closer. Jimmy to the Warriors, Levine to the Kings, Kuz to the Bucks, Middleton to the Wizards, and who's that last one?
Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram to the Raptors. Which one made you least excited, and which one makes you most excited out of all these deals?
Should we leave the Luka thing out of it? Because I feel like that's number one, right? Or
yeah, you can leave the Luka one out. Yeah,
I'm gonna leave the Luka thing out of it. I'm gonna go with Kyle Kuzma. No, I'm just kidding. That's terrible. De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, man. De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs is crazy. They've only played one game together so far this year, but it was everything you could have asked for with Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox by his side. You have a generational talent budding into a superstar before our eyes. He might be a superstar already. People are ranking him top 10, and it's deserving. De'Aaron Fox is adding a dynamic to this offense that is next level. The speed, the passing, the shot making, the clutch ability from De'Aaron Fox is enormous. This team has been solid with Chris Paul running the show. Now, Chris Paul's still doing nice things for this team, but it's a completely different ball game with De'Aaron Fox. This is huge for the next couple of years, but I'm ready to go on wax and say this is going to be a move that helps the Spurs make it into that top 10 and into the playoffs play-in this year. And you want to see Victor Wembanyama in a one-game series? I mean, we all as Knicks fans remember that game where Jalen Brunson went for 50 last year against the Spurs, and Victor Wembanyama said, "Hold my beer, I'm beating y'all." This is even better version of Victor Wembanyama, and now you got an all-star level player, one of the fastest players in the league with offensive juice up and down the court. De'Aaron Fox and the Spurs has me jacked up to tune in to San Antonio.
Yeah, it's a great move, and he moves, and Wemby can keep up with him, and that's like a very underrated part about this. I have two. One that's like a legit, like liking the legitimate trade, and another that has nothing to do with the trade and just what happens because of the trade. But the first one is Brandon Ingram to the Raptors. I love that move. Paired with the fact that they brought in Davion Mitchell. I know they're not going to do anything this year, but I like when some of these teams that are supposedly tanking, and they're still tanking, are proactive to next year. And look out for the Raptors to be a team next year.
They've been playing well. Gallo, they've been playing well the last, I think, 12 games, 13 games.
They've probably had some of the worst luck in the league with injuries, but that core is young, and they still are going to have flexibility to add one more big piece if they wanted to. But now you have Barrett, you have Quickly, you have, Brandon Ingram, and Scotty Barnes, and then you have nice pieces like a Davion Mitchell, who's a great on-ball defender. That I really like what they did. Obviously, the other moves are exciting, but my favorite trade of the entire deadline is the Warriors trading for Jimmy Butler and paying him, and the Miami Heat thinking that getting essentially Andrew Wiggins in a pick back. I know they got like Kenny Anderson and stuff like that, or Kyle Anderson. That trade was funny because the Warriors, who could not do anything wrong, now do one of the dumbest things. I can't wait to see Draymond and Jimmy Butler fight each other on the court. And then they signed him to a 2-year deal when no one was going to pay him. And they paid him. And then we saw the death of Heath culture. Because if Pat Riley thinks no cap flexibility, an average pick, and Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, and Bam Adebayo are going to be the key to competing in the Eastern Conference with the Knicks, Celtics, and Cavs, I got another thing coming for you, buddy. So rest in peace to Heat culture. I think it's time Pat Riley hangs it up and lives in a nice Boca Raton old age home, because it's over, buddy.
Well, for Pat Riley, it's not over. I tell you why. Because the Chiefs win, he's gonna get paid. He made a deal. He made a deal with the NFL, and he might have lost Jimmy Butler, but he might be getting that money if the Chiefs three-peat.
Wait, what is that in reference to? Pat Riley with the Chiefs? What are we talking about?
He
owns the three-peat trademark. He owns it.
Yes, I seen that. That's crazy.
He owns it. So he made a deal with the NFL that they could use it. We don't know how many zeros on that check. I'm assuming a lot. So he's rooting for the Chiefs. That's if the Chiefs win. So we all know who Pat is going for.
Oh, how do you trademark something like that? That's crazy. I'm about to just start throwing trademarks like
you can.
Like Nick Young was taking shots in the mid 2010s. Like, just throw some random stuff out there. All of a sudden, it might hit.
All it takes is one.
That's wild.
All it takes is one. I have a few that are in the works. I have a few, so I'll just leave it at that. But the Heat culture, I'm glad it's dead. I don't care what anybody says. It's dead. Jimmy Butler, everywhere he goes. This is why Knicks fans used to say, "Oh, you don't want Jimmy Butler." I go, "No, I don't want that guy." Everywhere he goes, he wears out his welcome. And this whole thing that they made it out, like I was watching NBA today, the draft special. When the lights are brightest, Jimmy Butler. Last time I checked, he's got as many championship rings as me. 0. So this whole notion that when the lights are brightest, Jimmy Butler shines. No, because if he did, he'd have a ring. Now he got to the finals versus the Nuggets. They got that ass waxed. They got to the finals in the bubble, got that ass waxed. So I don't want to hear this whole Jimmy Butler when the lights are brightest nonsense. I love the Warriors because I love Steph Curry. That's always been my guy since college. But the dynamic with him and Jimmy Butler is going to be fascinating. Now, speaking of the Luka trade, I jumped on the odds for Dallas to win the championship. The odds went from like plus 1,200 to plus 4,100. I jumped on that. And then I also jumped on the Knicks Mavericks NBA Finals matchup plus 12,000 odds. plus 12,000 for that matchup to happen. Like people are acting like Anthony Davis is some scrub. Short term, this is an awesome trade for the Mavericks. Short term, they get the defensive guy in Anthony Davis. They can he's gonna play. He wants to play the 4. He's gonna play the 4 there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kyrie and him have a great friendship together. Maybe Klay Thompson can finally wake the fuck up with AD there. They have Gafford there still. They have pieces. I know moving Luka is for Dallas Maverick fans. That is heartbreaking. That sucks for them. Well, there had to be some shit behind the scenes we don't know about. I'm not going to say that he drank himself into oblivion because I don't have any proof of that. But the Luka that I saw on stage, he was in good shape. And the Lakers make the moves they move. They get Williams. They trade the kid from Tennessee, who I love because he fell off. That starting 5 is good too. So LeBron's got another crack at his damn fucking championship.
The Lakers are playing great ball before this trade. They're going to be playing better ball after it. Now, I hope you didn't put too much money on those bets because I got to tell you, I don't have faith in the Dallas Mavericks. I really don't. Listen,
$10.
Thank God. Thank God. You know, and if you win, you'll still win a boatload of money on that bet right there on the plus odds. I just don't have faith in it. We're looking at Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, 2 guys who have never been the number 1 on a team that's done anything that special, right? Like Anthony Davis, even though he's probably has been just as good as LeBron, you could argue whatever. He wasn't doing any of that in the bubble without LeBron James. Yeah, was he the better player than LeBron this year? Sure. They were okay. And Kyrie Irving has been a number 1 twice in his career. Early when he was a rookie, those early years in Cleveland, we're not going to count those. It's not fair to him.
No, there was no talent around him, yeah.
Then he's number 1 in Boston, and it crashed and burned. Like it went well for a little while, and it crashed and burned. He has been very healthy this year. That's a good thing. I love watching Kyrie Irving play basketball. I think people mistake me pushing him away from the upper echelon as me hating him. No, I like him. I love watching him. He's incredible. He ain't a number 1. He's not a generational point guard. He has been a phenomenal number 2, and he finally found the perfect role for him next to an absolute undeniable superstar in Luka Doncic. This is not going to work for the Dallas Mavericks. Is their defense a little bit better? Absolutely. Guess where their defense was last year with Luka Doncic, the guy who doesn't care on defense at all. They were top 5 after the trade deadline. I think Nico Collins got a little bit ahead of his skis here. He's feeling a little too cocky and confident in himself, saying, oh, I could put together the team. I don't need this guy because he doesn't fit what I want. Guess what? You ain't making nothing without Luka Doncic. I don't have faith in the Mavericks to win a playoff series, let alone make it.
Wow.
I'm being serious. Why are we trusting Anthony Davis at 31, who's already banged up, Kyrie Irving, who is not a number 1? I'm not even saying that he can't be. He's not. Never has been a number 1 option on a really good team. So I'm going to enjoy watching them. I love watching Kyrie play basketball. It's not going to lead to the promised land, even if that promised land is a conference finals. Like, you don't understand. Luka Doncic, Western Conference Finals and a finals by age 25. That doesn't happen. That's unrealistic expectation if Michael Jordan was in the league, because he didn't do it until he didn't win a championship until he was 27, 28. And you give this guy away for a 31-year-old, it's just not going to happen for the Mavericks the way that they hope it will.
Before you go, Gallo, the thing that was annoying to me is the Mavericks could have got a boatload from a whole bunch of teams. Either Harrison slept with Pelinka's girl and they had to figure something out and call it a day because they got, to only get one first round pick is nuts.
Well, I'll say this. The trade is idiotic in the sense that you're giving away a 25-year-old in his prime. All the things that Pete said, like, it's idiotic. But look at, Kyrie had the biggest shot in that series. Yes, fact.
Yep. Yeah, as the amazing number 2 that he was.
Right.
He did the number 2's job, which was come up in a great big spot. He didn't carry them the way LeBron did.
Robert Horry hit a ton of huge shots for championship teams. He's better than Robert Horry. That's a disrespectful way to compare, but I'm just saying it doesn't mean because you're the biggest shot, you're the best player. I will say this. Just looking at the Mavs, take away the trade, because at this point it's done with. You just have to look forward, project the season. Looking at the Mavs team, I really like their fit. I like the little moves they did to add to the team, adding a Caleb Martin, guys like that. I already like that Mavs team to begin with because the role players, Luka and Kyrie, were amazing last year. The reason why that Mavs team took a jump is because of everyone else on that team that also stepped up.
PJ Washington.
Right. All these guys that had big, moments for them. And obviously it was on the back of Luka, on the back of Kyrie. I do think that Anthony Davis is capable of being a one. I think that the best shot we've ever seen at someone knocking off those Warriors in their prime was that Pelicans team with an in-prime DeMarcus Cousins before he blew his Achilles out. They had Drew Holiday. Anthony Davis was playing like an MVP. And I think at times we've seen him lead the Lakers. I could definitely see he has to stay healthy. So he's more of an injury risk than Luka is, even with all the conditioning concerns. But I don't hate the move when I'm just looking at that team, because obviously giving up Luka is really inexcusable. And also, I don't think they wanted to pay him. So I think at the end of the day, like, they did Luka dirty, but also, like, you can't force them to just sit there and keep a guy that they probably know they're not paying. Also, they might have known that he wasn't going to accept an extension. So that plays into it as well.
Apparently, Luka Doncic just bought a $15 million house in Dallas, like within the last few months. He had he didn't express anything about wanting to leave there. But I agree, Gallo, all your points are extremely valid with that regard, because if they didn't want to pay Luka, then yeah, you should move him. But you should at least hold the Lakers over the fire a little bit to try to get that first round pick they sent for freaking Mark Williams. They said, what we got from?
That's my high school classmate. What up, John?
Dude, that's facts great. Though. This is a great point here. We disagreed on your last comment. This one is good though. Apparently, Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka literally have been vacationing together for over 20 years. Like, their families are tight.
Vacation.
How are you not getting more? Like, the Lakers just sent a unprotected first round pick to the Hornets. Yeah, for Mark Williams.
Not Knicks should have been chasing. Like,
100%.
Like
100%.
That really makes me, that changes. Like, he's a young player, and now with Luka, they did everything right. Either Pelinka or Rich Paul has some blackmail on Harrison.
Something. I know, honestly though, I got to be frank here. I know I'm talking a lot, so I apologize, but
no, it's all good.
Nico Harrison, I really believe that he got big for his britches, because he feels like he was the reason that they made the finals last year. He made those moves. PJ Washington, Gafford, the draft of Lively, great moves. And I truly believe that he feels like his puppeteering of the roster is what elevated them to the finals. And it's just not the case. Your moves helped Luka Doncic get there. That's how it was. If Luka's not part of that team, they weren't making the finals. Let me read you this real quick. Kyrie Irving last year in the finals, 12 points, 16 points. Then he got 35. Then he got 21, 15 points, right? This guy,
he wasn't good.
The ultimate closer, the assassin, the most skilled player in NBA history. Yes, his talent's out of control. No one has ever questioned his talent. If you do, you don't know ball. But I am questioning his ability to carry a team, and I don't see it possible.
Well, listen, I think the Mavericks will. Who goes further? Mavericks or Lakers, or they both get knocked out same time?
I think they both get knocked out at the same time.
So semifinals.
I'm buying the Lakers stock. I'm buying it.
I like what the Lakers have done. The move is a win long term. I don't think they're better than the Thunder. I don't think they're better than the Nuggets. I don't think they're better than the Grizzlies. And I'm not sure that the Rockets are necessarily title contenders, but in a 7-game series, I guess that where, I would, get tripped up. But honestly, like, I could see them both getting eliminated in the second round. Like, I don't think either of them are ever going to win the conference this year. Like, maybe next year the Lakers add another piece, KD, and they take another leap, or whoever. I just throw KD's name out there. But I just don't see it right now. I especially don't see it. And they're both better than the Warriors, though. I will admit that. I think the Warriors are cooked. They're extra cooked now because they brought in Jimmy Butler. So,
well, I never answered the question about besides the Luka thing. I think it's the Fox and San Antonio. You just paired one of the best point guards in the league, the fastest point guard in the league, with Wemby. There's going to be Lob City up and down the court running. The only thing I don't like about Wemby, it's a huge turnoff. He fucking flops way too much, bro. It's fucking annoying. And for me to be dropping F-bombs about this, it's fucking annoying. Yesterday's game I was watching versus the Hawks, he barely got touched. My man flopped on the floor and act like he got shot in his groin. It is the most annoying, most unattractive thing to watch in a basketball game. He makes Vlade Divac like a Meryl Streep. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. So now, as far as our Knicks go, you mentioned Williams, that the Knicks should have been all over him. I heard a Charlotte announcer saying that the reason that they got rid of him is because he doesn't give max effort. His tank is not always full. He half-asses it. And LeBron's not going to deal with that shit. So maybe that's why the Knicks didn't pull the trigger on that one. We'll see what happens with that. But as far as our Knicks go, they traded Jericho Sims to the Bucks. Good riddance. That's what I have to say to that. I thought Jericho Sims would be better than this. I thought he would evolve. I thought he'd take a next step this year. And especially from his workout videos, which is another reason don't trust out workout videos. He's just straight basura. You give the ball to him under the basket, and he has a dunk there, and he's passing to 23 feet out. It's just annoying. So the Knicks trade him for, what is it, DeLon Wright? I don't even know who the hell that is.
$1 million in cash.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. So the Knicks team now,
bench defender essentially.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what the buyout market's going to be. There's some thing that Knicks can't get a player if he made over $12 million. Is that true?
So I didn't even realize that, and I guess it was
neither did I.
That was implemented in the last CBA or recently, where so for example, if Middleton gets bought out, a bunch of contenders can't sign him. Because if you're on the first, I don't know if it's the first apron or the second apron, you can't sign someone who makes more than that threshold. I think that's why they sent out Sims to get the cash back, because they know Sims isn't playing. If DeLon Wright doesn't play and he's just another vet, then he's just another vet. But now they might have a chance to go and get someone in the buyout market.
Yeah, DeLon Wright is a wing guard defender who has a little bit of offensive juice. He's been shooting terribly in Milwaukee this year, but he's not like an amazing shooter. He's a fine veteran, though. I feel like if Knicks fan watched him play for a few minutes here, a few minutes there, you're going to like the cut of his jib, if you will. Like, you're going to like how he plays. He's just not like a special player, obviously. On the buyout front, it's going to be really tough. There are a few players I've seen, like Marcus Smart already get thrown out there if he gets put in the buyout market. I'm passing on that. I'm good. I don't need Marcus Smart as a New York Knick. I just, we got Miles McBride, who is literally the better version of Marcus Smart right now. Better shooter at this point in life, better defender. I don't want anybody.
Marcus gives you a natural backup to a Josh Hart or a Mikal Bridges as far as defensive end and effort.
That's a fair point, but I kind of don't want anybody who might lead Tibbs away from playing the guys that we like right now, if that makes sense.
No,
if he's going to take minutes from McBride, I'm out, and I think he will. So I don't really want that. So the buyout market's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. It's just really tough with the buyout market because so many teams are in the race, right? Like Philly's in 11th right now. They're going to be in the play-in. Obviously, I think that's going to be a relatively realistic thing as the Hawks start to fall down. The Bulls, will see what they do now without Levine. They're probably going to fall down, but they don't have anyone on the buyout market that's going to be that interesting. In the Western Conference, all the way down to 12 with the Spurs, they're all fighting for the play-in. So you're looking only at a couple teams who are truly just going to sell off a piece for nothing. So I don't know. I don't really trust the buyout market this year, but you never know who might pop up. But if anything, I'd imagine them to add big depth, if anything.
Taj Gibson is going to be a Knick in 2 weeks. We all know that.
And funny you should mention that, because that came across my timeline. Taj Gibson to the Knicks. That's. I don't know if that's somebody being a schmuck, a smart ass, but it looks like a realistic option.
I mean, some guys I've heard, not that they're enticing, but if you're thinking bigs, Larry Nance is a potential buyout candidate. Marvin Bagley's a potential buyout candidate. I don't really know any other bigs. I've heard names rumored, but I don't think they're going to get bought out. There's a lot of guards and wings, but I don't think the Knicks are going to look to do that. Unless the Raptors, unless some of these teams get rid of
you sure about that, Gallo? Because the OG injury, you sure the Knicks might not pivot to try to get a wing depth, considering what's going on with OG?
I don't think they're as concerned. I don't think this is the case as last year where they're hiding something, because we didn't get an MRI result last year right away. It was, hey, he's good, he's fine, trust us, trust me, he's fine. They came out pretty quickly, and Tibbs even said I don't know if he's getting an MRI. Obviously, he did. I can't say no. I don't think they will, though. I think their thoughts are lengthening the bench by adding a big and covering Mitchell Robinson. Otherwise, if they don't, they are 100% committed to Mitchell Robinson playing major minutes for them.
Pete, real quick, Heck, can you check behind the scenes? realistic buyout market, guys, for the Knicks, because this $12 million thing is true. It's going to be tough to get a legit quality wing player to fit on a championship roster if that's the budget you're working with.
So let me ask you this, Al. Is that your biggest concern? Is now pivoting
OG.
to an OG replacement than getting a backup big?
Yeah, I'm worried about OG. I'm worried about him. And then Bridges tweaked his ankle the other night too. I'm worried about OG Anunoby. It's the most minutes he's played in his career. This was a non-contact injury, which makes it even worse. To me, I don't want him coming back till after the All-Star break. Do not play around. Do not. He's going to warm up. Do not do that. Do not fuck around with this, because this team is a championship team. Because go ahead, Pete, and then I have a question when it comes to the Knicks championship. Go ahead, Pete.
I was gonna say I thought the worst when I saw OG stop on a diamond and kind of go down and grab the foot. I literally thought it was nightmare fuel. I thought it was over. But the one positive to Mitchell Robinson coming back at this point in time is if OG is going to be out, you can, in theory, put Mitch in the starting lineup, move Cat to the 4, go Bridges, Hart, Brunson, which would create at least a relative sameness to the rotations and allow McBride and Payne, and maybe if DeLon Wright gets some burn, and I don't know, Huck Purdy, maybe he's got something. Maybe he's got 10 minutes for the Knicks a game here. He did something pretty well against Toronto. He was looking pretty good.
He's much more serviceable than Sims.
Oh, hell yeah. And all Knicks fans knew that the whole time. Since the preseason, we're like, no, the Huck Purdy guy. We want to see this guy. We want to see him. And we didn't. And now he's doing something.
And to the DeLon Wright point too, that might be he's their stopgap. They think Mitch OG's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. All right, we picked up another wing, and him and Shamet are going to have to fill more of the wing role. Yeah. Like, so I don't know. I like Pete. You shook your head when I asked that question. So do you feel the same way about OG? Like that's more of a concern than you than filling that backup spot in that center?
If I shook my head, I probably didn't mean to. I don't think so. I don't think I was disagreeing with you, I should say. I think I'm nervous with OG all the time. With his health, I am constantly nervous. Every time he jumps for a rebound, I am nervous. Every time he lands after a dunk, I'm nervous. So I live nervous when watching OG Anunoby. For some reason, he looks so powerful sometimes, and there are other times where he looks like he is going to blow both of his ACLs at one moment.
Yes.
So I live nervous with OG, but I do think with the news so far on this one, it's very positive news as to what I thought it was when I saw the injury happen.
Daniel Theis would be a good pickup.
Yeah, great guy. Shout out to Heck for pulling this up really fast. So PJ Tucker, did he just get traded again? He got moved. He got traded.
Everywhere.
He got traded to one team.
He was in the Raptors deals to the Kings for Davion Mitchell.
But now he was flipped again. I could have swore he was flipped again.
I mean, earlier in the year.
Yeah, you got slow-mo Kyle Anderson. That's the guy who was traded to Miami. Torrey Craig, I think he's got like 8 rings. Chris Duarte, Dominicano, who could shoot the lights out, but he's fallen off. And Daniel Theis, who can stretch the floor as well and give you some minutes off the bench. Out of these 5 guys here, which guy on this list entices you the most?
Oh, Daniel Theis, max effort guy, good enough defender. Like we saw him play a key role with those Celtics teams. Obviously, like he wasn't like a huge part in them getting over the hump, but he was a major role player, and I want him to play that role for the Knicks. I didn't even think about him. I thought he got picked up by a contender as like a legitimate piece, so I guess I was wrong. Chris Duarte, because he's not washed as far as age, is kind of enticing because Tibbs is kind of brought the best out of some vets that they brought in his run with this Knicks in this Knicks era with Tibbs. So maybe him, but Daniel Theis is very enticing.
I'd probably say Torrey Craig. I think just because he fits that OG Anunoby mold a little bit, good size, 3-and-D, classic fit of like you can kind of put him on any team and he knows what to do. He's going to shoot 35 to 37% from 3. Hopefully, that's kind of his career averages. And he's just a decently sized wing who plays decent defense. I think he's the most realistic. I think he would add the most to what the Knicks need. Theis is a weird one. I feel like we all kind of remember him from the Celtics era where it was like looking good for him. But there's a reason he's been bouncing around and hasn't found a home since. I think he doesn't really have the juice. I'd rather roll with Huck Purdy than go for Theis. Not that Tibbs would agree with that or anything, but I think Craig is the most intriguing on this list just to fit the Knicks mold of shoot threes, play defense, and kind of fit in instead of demanding your own little style.
Now I got an update on the OG injury, right? There's a guy that I know, Dr. Jesse Morse. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him, but this is a guy who works in sports medicine. I trust him. I reach out to him for every injury. This is what he had to say about OG Anunoby and that type of injury. Tom Thibodeau said it's day to day, but Dr. Jesse Morse said it's most likely that he'll be out 10 to 14 days. He wouldn't rush him back. Now, when Garrett Cole got injured, I reached out to this guy. He was spot on. When Julius Randle got injured, he was spot on as well. So again, take it all with a grain of salt. Dr. Jesse Morse, he works in the NBA, MLB, and NHL.
All right, so pretty much keep him out after the All-Star break. That works out fine for me because they do get a week off, correct, as well in the All-Star break. They don't come right back. So I think that's the smart thing to do. As far as that list goes, I hate watching him play. But slow-mo Kyle Anderson, he gets under the other team's skin. He plays some defense. Yes, he rebounds. He's got a horrible hairline. Like that guy, I think it would be a tips guy for sure. That guy gets under the other team's skin. He's an antagonizer. He did play with Cat last year, so Cat would have some insight as to, should we bring him in or what? How do you feel about this? But I think he would be a serviceable piece for the Knicks on this list here.
I also like Kyle Anderson. He plays his style, which would have to fit in with the Knicks, but he's a really good passer. He plays really good defense for being slow as shit. Like he could do some things on the basketball court, and he's a Jersey guy. So we got Brunson from Jersey, Cat from Jersey, Slow-Mo from Jersey.
God. Are they all Eagle fans too? Fuck.
Well, Slow-Mo, for the record, I don't know why Cat's an Eagle fan. He's from North Jersey. He's from he's
kind of from Central Jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Gallo, you might be the guy to talk about this. He's kind of central-ish, but he's more East Central.
Like I grew up in the central part of Jersey, and there's more Eagle fans there than Jet fans. It was like Giants and Eagles fans and Cowboy fans. But
would you root for any of these teams if you're coming up? I mean, they both suck for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles were good probably when Cat was a kid. Like, oh well, I forgot who I was talking to here.
I think he was a Donovan McNabb. I think he was a McNabb guy. I think that's why he rooted for the Eagles. He liked Donovan McNabb.
I will say this much: Kyle Anderson is in North Jersey. I know he went to one. It was either St. Patrick's or St. Anthony's, and the kids that go there are always max effort guys, good fundamentals. There's a reason why Pop loved him as much as he did because he's one of these guys. Him being slow scares me because I don't think they fit well with slow players. I think that hurts Sims. I think Precious thrives because he may not have the size, but for a big, he moves the floor well.
Yeah, he runs. Yeah, he runs. Yeah. So is this team currently constructed? Your confidence level, did you want them to make a big deal at the deadline, or are you happy and think this team can win the championship this year?
You go first, Pete.
The New York Knicks can win a championship this year. Absolutely. The New York Knicks are ready to compete for the Eastern Conference title. I think you look at the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers as the only real competition right now. The Bucks are falling off a little bit. None of the other teams that made moves in the Eastern Conference are scaring me in the slightest right now. Obviously, the Pacers are playing better basketball, but we all know if the Knicks were healthy, they were taking them out last year. This Knicks team is hitting stride in almost every single way. Outside of OG's injury, everything is moving up for the New York Knicks. Brunson's playing his best ball. Cat's getting back in rhythm. Mikal Bridges is playing at the highest level of our expectation. I think this team is ready. Their depth is starting to figure it out. The Precious return is finally hitting stride. And most importantly, we cannot forget that Mitchell Robinson is a problem in a playoff series. He on the boards alone, if he didn't do anything else on the floor except for rebound, can change a series. And all of us Knicks fans who wanted to trade him, we were doing mock trades for Mitchell Robinson for freaking 6 months now. He's a Knick. It's happening. He's going to be back soon, and we are going to remember the positive impact that he had on the playoffs last year before he got tackled by the crybaby in Philly.
The ankle lock.
Yeah.
I think they're a title contender. I think that the way I look at it is I think they're one of the 5 best teams in the league. That's including the Western Conference. But you don't worry about the Western Conference until you play in the finals.
Bang.
So I think the Celtics are the only team in the East that 100% I don't think the Knicks would be favored against in a series. I think, yes, because the way Cleveland played in the regular season, the betting odds would be against the Knicks. But in my mind, I would feel pretty good going to that series. They made a good move today.
I was just about to say that. That was a really, really good move.
It's a really good move. But it's not something that what would have scared me is if they would have brought in more size, which they don't need. But that's where the Knicks are hurt. Really, is inside. If Cat struggles defensively in the playoffs, when he puts the effort in, he's a good defender. There's not a team in the league that even against the Celtics, like I wouldn't be confident, but I wouldn't be shocked if they beat them in a 7-game series. And that goes for a lot of the like Cavs. I would feel confident against. If they made it to the finals, and they played the Nuggets, I'd feel confident against. And then if we're really breaking it down to both things, it'd be the Celtics and the Thunder, the only two teams that like I definitively say are better than them.
The thing I wrote down just now is it's going to suck because I feel like every time we play Boston, going back to starting last year till now, it's never been the full complement of Knicks. It has never been the same roster. Every time we play Boston, we played them 5 times last year. I believe it was 5 different lineups that went against Boston. Now OG Anunoby's not going to be there Saturday night. By the way, that's the most expensive ticket except for the Laker ticket to get in the building. It's $330 on TickPick. $330. I'm hoping it goes down a little bit because I'm on the fan midnight to 4. If it goes down a little bit, I might sneak in the building. We'll see what happens. That might be my first game of the season. We'll see what happens with that, but it's going to suck. I was really looking forward to that Boston game, and now no OG. Regardless of what happens, it's still going to be question marks. I think this Knicks team is a championship team, healthy, 100% with Mitchell Robinson as well. We need his defense. We need his rebounding, second chance, third chance opportunities. There's been numerous games this year where the Knicks take a shot, no second chance. The other team, 2, 3, 4 chances. Knicks come down the court, missed jump shot. Other team, 2, 3, 4 chances. Over and over and over. They're playing much better now. They're playing team ball. We knew it was going to take time for them to gel. Mitchell Robinson, the only thing that sucks is if he's going to be thrusted right back to the starting lineup, it's going to put a lot of pressure on him right out the gate. So do I see Tibbs doing it out the gate? I don't think he does that out the gate, even with OG out. I think he eases him in because the important thing is getting him to the playoffs healthy.
To add some Vegas odds into this, there's an absolute reason why the Knicks are the 4th favorite. It's Thunder plus 230, Boston plus 240, a little bit of a drop, Cleveland 750, Knicks 950, and then another drop to Denver 1600, Lakers 1600. And then you're talking plus 3,000, plus 3,500, plus 4,000. So
I took Denver at plus 1,900 earlier because I won't bet the Knicks. I feel like I jinx them.
Yeah.
So I took Denver earlier in the season when they were
Gallo, you got nothing to do with the outcome. I used to be that way. You got nothing to do with the outcome.
I've had professional athletes tell me that doesn't matter. It matters, dude. I know it
Wait, you can't come out. You can't trust a professional athlete. These are the same people that put the same socks on the same because they're fucking ultra superstitious. So fuck that bullshit, bro.
Real quick, small story. Obviously, I work at Fad, work with Tiki Barber. He laughed at me one day. I'm watching a soccer match, and I'm like, I can't move. They're playing well. He goes, I hate to break it to you, bud, but you don't influence the outcome. I go, I don't care that you played in the league. You might tell me that. In my brain, me moving this piece of paper right now, just team points on a run, 15-1 run.
I used to be the same way. I told the story how the Knicks 99 run, they were playing the Pacers. And then one night during the game, I was eating honeycombs dry. One left, one right, one left, one right. Knicks won. I did it the whole fucking rest of the playoffs, man. My dumb ass.
There
was a game in 2008. They're playing the Cubs, the Mets in September.
It was the rain game?
Yes. Dude,
I was there.
I made my mom sit in because she walked in the room and the Mets started scoring. I made her sit in my room and I sat in fetal position because at the time I was in fetal position for some reason and I didn't move till they scored that last run. So I'm not right in the head, but it happens. Like my girlfriend, we went to a Knicks game. She did something crazy at one point, and I was like, "Well, you got to keep doing that now because they're coming back."
You got any crazy superstitious stories like that, P?
Nah. I'm more like the new Al, if anything. I'm like anti-superstition. I make fun of my buddies who do that. So Gallo, if we're ever watching a game, I will just keep doing little irritating things to throw you off of your superstition.
Wow.
I feel like if you were in this industry of sports talk, it's not as much. But if you've dabbled in play-by-play at all, which I haven't done much of it in my day, but I've done a little bit of play-by-play. You can't be superstitious, like, because you have to. Michael K, love him or hate him, one thing that I always agree with him on, he goes, it's my job to tell the audience what's going on. And if somebody just turned the TV on in the 7th inning, shouldn't they know that there's a no-hitter going on? I think he's right. So that whole thing in my brain threw the superstition stuff out the window from that regard. So no superstitions from me. Well,
here's 2 stories. One, when in 2007, when the Mets choked to the Marlins. The game before the last one, John Maine pitched. I was at that game. He had a no-hitter, 7 in the third innings, and it was a swinging bunt that broke his no-hitter. I mean, he had like 14, 15, 16 strikeouts, whatever the case may be. The girl I was dating at the time, I told her, whatever you do not wear red, because the Phillies. She shows up to the ballpark with a red purse. First inning score, 7-0 Marlins. I didn't talk to her the whole fucking rest of the game. Walking to the parking lot, I didn't talk to her. Walking on the train, I didn't talk to her. She got off at her stop, I didn't even say goodbye. And I was so heated. I was so heated, but I made up. I felt bad afterwards. The other one I was gonna say, shit. Pete, you were just talking about no superstitions. I said, Met fans, and you notice if you watch the Met game, it's the Gary Cohen jinx. Every time Gary Cohen says, well, the Mets have handled this guy. He's 1 for 26. The fucking next pitch, bro, is a grand slam. It never fails. Go hashtag the Gary Cohen jinx. It never fails.
I gotta point something out because I'm absolutely astonished right now. Hector just put in the chat. I went to 22 games. Is this true, Hector? 22 games, they lost each one?
Bro, every game I went to last year, they lost each one. It got so bad that I went to the watch parties in the playoffs at Billy's, and everyone I went to at Billy's, they fucking lost. Bro, I kid you not, I hosted a watch party in Washington Heights. Game 1 of the World Series, we're winning, and the Dodgers obviously walked it off. My girlfriend looked at me. She was like, "Yeah, I don't think you should be going to any games next year."
That is horrible.
This is scientific evidence that this is affecting them. I'm sorry. Like, now I'm deeper into it. Even more now.
No, here's heck. I'm gonna do
series games this year with me.
No, I do you one even better. Heck,
Gallo.
I'm gonna get you 81. I'm gonna get you home season tickets for the Yankees this year. How's that sound, heck?
I'm good. I'll pass.
And you cannot sell them you cannot sell them on the secondary market, or we're gonna hang you by your nuts in Times Square and hit them around like a piñata. You got to go to all the games.
We'll find out if the study actually works. I'm going to spring training, obviously, to cover it for Latino sports, so I have press passes working there. If they lose those games, then you know it's real.
Well, ask them. Ask the players. Ask them. I'm curious. Are you superstitious? Like, you have any crazy superstitious thing that you do before the game? I'm curious about that.
Bathroom.
Put it in the bathroom. Yeah, I got you, Al.
All right, cool. Now,
isn't there a difference though between a ritual and a superstition? There's a difference, right?
No, it's the same thing.
No, it's not.
It's the same thing.
Wait, here. So this is my thought process on it, and I already know that y'all disagree with me on this. But a ritual for a player is like putting him in rhythm, in the right mindset to be focused for his athletic performance. A ritual for a fan is you believe that you putting your left foot up on the cup holder on the right side of your section 220 seat is going to affect how Francisco Lindor, 400 yards away from you, is going to see the ball.
Grand slam because somebody did that.
But what if somebody forgot to do it and he still hit the grand slam? We'll never know.
Was it Barry Bonds used to sniff his bat? Like,
no, Puig used to lick his bat.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, there was somebody who I
sniffed the bat.
They used to do something in the dugout, not at the plate, at the dugout when they were like struggling. It may not have been Bonds.
We know Keith used to sniff lines in the dugout. I'll tell you that. Snicking and sniffing. You know that.
And that's a ritual that will help you.
And ask LT. He's got multiple Super Bowl rings because of it.
Yeah.
Heck, how many people in the building?
We got over 300 people in the building on YouTube. We capped out at 22. We got 16 people on YouTube. If you're watching us, click the link in the bio. Jump on over to YouTube. On YouTube, we're sitting at 4,800 subscribers. Help us out. We're trying to get to 5K. We're right there.
All right, cool. Now, before we go, and I'm glad we talked about superstition. I'm going to ask the callers on Sunday. Do you have any sports superstition? So that's a good topic to bring up as a filler.
Before you switch topics, I want to keep it on the NBA because you were talking about Kyle Anderson. I got this video I want to play. Hold on.
White American NBA players, they got podcasts, they got nice hair. Spot up shooters who get hounded on defense, assuming that they win to Duke is not a crazy pretense. White American NBA players, when you inbound pass, you better beware. They come off the bench, they're the energy guys. Your uncle's favorite player, but you don't ask why. White American,
what the?
American, the European white guys are scary.
What the? Yo, call Alex Caruso Spanish, bro. What are we doing?
Yeah, well, all right. Well, killing the joke now. No, I was kidding. But
I'm
that
just kidding.
video, when Don, like, not to get too deep into it, when Dante DiVincenzo and iHeart got traded, and everyone was like freaking out, I would send that in my group chats where my buddies were talking about it. I'm like, you guys, if these guys just think that they were really great Knicks that were role players,
Well,
except
Hartenstein
Austin Reeves.
Hartenstein's back.
He's bright skin.
Oh, right. Well, yeah. And yeah,
He's-
isn't he technically German?
Well, I think
His dad is black.
His dad is black. His mom is white, and he came out full white somehow. They call him bright skin. He talked about it on the roommates pod.
But isn't his dad from Germany too, though? So I guess it doesn't work. So
I guess
No,
so.
his dad's from the States, but he played over in Germany, and that's where he met his mom, I think.
All right, so it's like a U.S.
Well, there you
national team player.
Well, there you go. By the way, he's been a difference maker for OKC. You see their record with and without him?
I'm laughing at the comment.
Yeah. Yo, John. John. I'm gonna get you offline, bro. I'm gonna get you offline. You got your shine today. You happy? You happy? You got your shine? Because all the time you say you're gonna call the station and you don't call the station because you're too much. Yeah. Now, before we go, we got a big game on Sunday. Breaking news.
Wait, who's playing?
It's the Super Bowl.
Oh.
It's not like Commanders. I wish it was, but it's not.
With some breaking news, selfish breaking.
You got something? All right.
I guess.
Pat Surtain is the defensive player of the year.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Yeah, well, we talked about it. I said he would win it. You said who brought it up? Is it TJ Watt again? No thanks. Patrick Surtain's the best cornerback in the league. By the way, Ahmad Gardner, and to the Jet fans, that's what a lockdown cornerback is. That's a cornerback that tackles. That's a lockdown cornerback. That's the truth right there. Didn't give himself a nickname, whatever the case may be. So shout out to Patrick Surtain II. And also, I can break in with some selfish breaking news as well. Jaden Daniels is the offensive rookie of the year, or the rookie of the year, period. Yeah. And I'm waiting for the head coach one to drop. I don't know if did they announce that one yet? Because Dan Quinn should get it.
He has to win it.
He should get it. But it was not my Commanders, unfortunately. You're not going to win before turnovers. I felt like people wanted me to cry. I'm like, no, I'm disappointed. I'm not upset. I'm disappointed. We didn't turn the ball over all season long. And then to have it happen, we had the momentum, down 11, throw it to Austin Eckler. He slips, gets up, and I didn't even know he had the smallest hands in the league to that play. Fumbled the ball. Oh, what the hell is this? Is this Jameis Winston?
Future Giants quarterback.
According to Saquon.
Hey, that's a good locker room guy to have to keep everything light in the locker room. But that fumble by Eckler, that was the game right there. And you're not going to win when you've turned the ball up 4 times. I will say this, and I text Evan as soon as Myles Garrett became available. Myles Garrett is going to be a Washington Commander. That's what's going to happen. But we have a Super Bowl. It happened. Chiefs, Eagles, 3-peat, or Eagles win the Super Bowl, and hopefully no more fans die doing dumb shit if that happens. Are you rooting for prop bets? Are you rooting for your boxers? Are you rooting for the Chiefs? Are you rooting for Eagles? Or all of the above? Which one is it?
I think it's pretty obvious who I'm rooting for the Eagles to blow them out. End the 3-peat. Enough already, okay? You'll get another one. I want it to come down to the last play of the game, and they call a BS holding call in favor of the Eagles, and Chiefs fans have to live with that loss at the end of the game being decided by the refs. And of course, I'm always rooting for prop bets. 2 quick ones, real quick. Isaiah Pacheco over in touches, rushes, and I think Devontae Smith. I got him at like over 25 yards receiving. So
that's it.
Yeah, I got to look. I have it right now. I can confirm what the number is in a second.
Well, the Pacheco one, I actually like the Pacheco one. I think he having an extra week off to get into the Super Bowl, I think he'll be utilized a lot more than he has been in these playoffs.
I got to find it.
Devonta Smith, I think his line's like 51.5.
I think I got it. Or maybe it was DeAndre Hopkins I got low.
I think it's Hopkins you're talking about. Because his number's really low.
His number's really low. 14.5 or something. Crazy.
Yeah, it's really low.
Yeah, that's who it was. All right, but Devontae Smith also, I do like that number at 50. DeAndre Hopkins was the one. I added.
So what's your score, Gallo? A legit score. Don't tell because you want the Eagles to win. Can you give me a legit score? Can you be impartial?
I think that it ends up being a 1-score game. Like a 28-24 Eagles.
28-24 Eagles. That's Gallo's pick. All right, Pete, you're up.
I've been battering this around. I got to be honest. I haven't been thinking about the NFL, the Super Bowl like much because the NBA has been rightfully so dominating the sports landscape right now. And these 2 weeks between the Super Bowl kind of suck, if we're being honest. How long can we talk about the same game? Right. So it's good that we're back now. It's only a couple days away. So I'm getting back and excited for it. I've been saying this basically out of like a weird necessity. Like I feel like I have to bet on the Eagles. I've already bet against the Chiefs in this playoffs, and I'm just gonna be willing to be hurt again. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win. I like them to win 34-30. That's gonna be my exact score prop. 34-30, kind of a weird random number right there, but that's what I'm going with. I think it's gonna be a close game as expected, as the Chiefs only play close games. I have some other props and some other things that I'll be rooting for. I'll be rooting for about 22 different things to happen on Super Bowl Sunday, as I should be. And yeah, I'm going Eagles.
All right, it's crazy that all three of us have the same differential in score and points.
Oh boy.
4. Gallo 28-24 Eagles. You, Pete, have 34-30 Eagles. I have 27-23 Chiefs. And the reason is because my Super Bowl boxes, I have Chiefs 7, Eagles 3, and I hope my Super Bowl boxes hit. The first quarter is 800, second quarter is halftime's 14, third quarter is 800, final score is 2,200. So I am rooting for that to happen. I think the Chiefs get the 3-peat. And no, I don't really give a shit if Taylor Swift gets a proposal or not. I don't think Kelsey's stupid enough to do that and take away from the shine of the Chiefs and the team. He'd get destroyed for that. So would she. I think the Chiefs complete the 3-peat and they get it done. I don't think there'll be many penalties called this game. I think the refs are going to let them play. The NFL's had enough with these penalty shit, and I think they either go out. Listen, let them play. Don't, unless it's a blatantly obvious pass interference or something like that, just let them play. And that's what I want, to let them play. So I have the Chiefs winning 27-23.
I'm gonna just jump in real quick because I just saw something online here that as I'm looking at the Super Bowl odds, I also came across some Offensive Player of the Year odds, and it's on DraftKings right now. And I just put, oh, I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. Oh my God. I thought I just like broke the system real quick. I thought I just was able to bet on Saquon Barkley after it was just announced that he won the award.
Oh,
that's for next year?
I just bet on him to win next year.
That's great.
All right, guys, it's been a good show.
You know what? Your Frank Ntilikina take still worse than that.
We got some breaking news. Breaking news.
What is it? What is it?
Somebody on TikTok, they found the Cowboys' last Super Bowl trophy. Wow. This is breaking news for everybody.
Wow. Holy shit! It wasn't even wow.
That's
damn.
It's good.
Is that the Smithsonian?
Well, they got a statue. They're clowning them. Listen, the Cowboys won a Super Bowl more recently than my team. The only thing I will say about this, isn't it beautiful to say that my team's in the club now, that every team in the NFC has made the championship game this century except for
the Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys. Their fans talk like they win, like they go to the Super Bowl every fucking season. It couldn't happen to a better fan base. And by the way, Cowboys, Micah Parsons is bouncing. It's going to happen. He's going to be out. And
he's going to the Eagles.
No, I don't think he goes to the Eagles. He loves Dan Quinn. He loves Dan Quinn. I'm telling. He's all on his podcast. Listen, there's a new sheriff in town. I'm just saying. So that's what we got. What's the spread of Super Bowl, by the way? It's still 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5.
It's basically a pick 'em.
All right. So yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to that. We should come up with some little bet. But you guys both picked the Eagles, so fuck you guys. I hate Philadelphia, man. Can't believe you did that.
Me too. I don't want the freaking Eagles.
What's the Gatorade color going to be? I bet purple.
I'm gonna go with red because Chiefs.
I'm
gonna go red.
I don't know. I think hasn't it been the same color for the Chiefs the past two? It's been.
No, I think one of them was purple.
Yeah,
you said purple. I said red.
I'm gonna throw out a few quick ones. I'll say red as well. But I'm going with a few quick props for you guys. I love AJ Brown to get in the end zone, plus 175.
I got that.
I love him getting the end zone here. I also think I like going with the Chief for the first touchdown, and I'm leaning between Kareem Hunt at plus 900 for the first touchdown scorer, or a sneaky Patrick Mahomes 4 or 5 yard run plus 1,800 first time scorer.
Ooh.
Those would be in for me, amongst many other bets. To be quite frank,
I like
the
Dallas
one with
Goedert.
the one he's got plus 300 for a touchdown. I think Dallas Goedert in the game. Yeah, I took this whole playoff. I've been taking Mahomes rushing yards. In the playoffs is over. He always runs in the playoffs. In the regular season, he doesn't do it so much. In the playoffs, he does it a lot. I think the Eagles are going to have somebody to make sure he doesn't do that, inspiring him. I don't want the Eagles to win. I do not want those fucking fans to get in the trophy. I hate that fan base. I hate that. I hate all of them. Philly can kiss my ass, whatever butt cheek you want to pick. I do not give a shit. I hate Philly, and that's that. The only good thing that'll come out of Philly winning is that Sean Marash will have to wear an L for a month. I heard about that today with Evan and Tiki. If he's going to wear the L chain for a month, and he is going to get obliterated by Eagle fans.
I have the one parlay I feel comfortable about because they're all things that I think would happen. I got this. I don't know what the odds are now, but I bet this earlier in the week because I'm going to be in Florida this weekend, and I don't think you could bet Florida, so I had to I had to prep. But it was Pacheco 25 plus rushing yards. Like I said, DeAndre Hopkins over 11.5. Plus 200 yards passing yards for Hurts and Dallas Goedert to score anytime. And that was plus 1,700. And I feel like all of those have a good chance. I love tight ends in the Super Bowl, specifically.
Oh, I love me some tight ends too. Hey.
I like tight ends all the time, but they always seem to be like on the goal line. I always feel like everyone loves. I'm trying not to die laughing right now. Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp was my favorite player.
Tight end.
Everyone always loves like the Kareem Hunt type pick on a short and goal. And I always feel like in the Super Bowl, it feels like specifically backup tight ends, but there's always that guy, usually the tight end, especially the Dallas Goedert type, that I feel like will get in there. And Travis Kelce, the odds aren't worth, putting it on
140.
Yeah, so plus 300, I think you said, with Goddard.
Yeah, the sneaky one for me, I have picked Juju Smith-Schuster plus 600 along with Hollywood Browns. I think that's like plus 290.
Love the Hollywood.
So it's always people. I mean, my coworker were talking about this. It's always somebody you like. Fuck, this guy scored. What the fuck? It's always some rando in the Super Bowl that has crazy odds that scores.
Grant Calcaterra.
That's the one he meant. He mentioned him. That's the one he's taking.
Damn, now
son of a bitch.
Ricky Fowler, it's 4 different Super Bowls.
And he's a capper. That's what he does. He works at a hotel with me, but he has his own shit where a couple of his bets blew up on Bleacher Report this past season. So we'll see what happens with that. So we'll be back next Thursday. 90 minutes. Not bad, fellas. St. John's, by the way. Shout out to St. John's. Don't they have a big game coming up with UConn?
Tomorrow night.
Go Johnnies.
And Jerry Recco will be on the call. If I heard him correctly this week, he is calling that game. I think he said he's calling that game.
Oh, maybe they're doing like a national Westwood game, and he's getting.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I think he's calling it. So shout out to Jerry. Anything you want to plug before we go, Gallo and Pete?
Always find me at at the Twitter below or my IG's Pico de Gallo 24. Also check out my YouTube page, the official Anthony Gallo YouTube.
Hell yeah, Pete Kennedy right here. Pete Kennedy 2Y Subway Sports Talk. If anyone's watching on Subway Sports Talk, it's live on our Twitter today too. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Subway Sports Talk, posting content like every single day right now. We're ripping it. And TIO Al Friends, always subscribe. Subscribe to Uptown Sports TV. We trying to hit 5,000. Come on, Uptown Sports. Let's go.
Look at my boy John. Pay more attention to you guys than my wife tonight.
Yeah.
Fucking John, man. Shout out to John. Went to Lane together. I'll be on the Fans Super Bowl morning till 4 a.m. 888-808-1019. Also, I'm going to get a TikTok going. I don't want to be on TikTok, but I feel like, the peer pressure is coming down on me, so I might have to cave into
right now. If you don't have it already, you can't get back
in. You don't? Oh, it's beautiful. Then I don't have to get it. Thank God.
Send me some clips. I'll post them right here. Me and Hector will start posting some of you on TikTok. You'll get on there without being on there.
Heck's been on. You got to get a TikTok, but if I don't have to, I can't get one. That's fine. It works. I mean, I used to have 10,000 followers in there, and that's a whole nother story. But We'll be back next Thursday. Again, I'll be on the Fan this Sunday, midnight to 4 a.m. We're talking Super Bowl, talking Knicks, Celtics for sure. Hopefully, Knicks pull out a W. We're talking about Pete Alonso, obviously. Let's see if the Yankees do anything to get the fan base excited a little more. Something to talk about. You can find me on social media at My Infamous Take. And as always, fellas, thank you for joining the families back together this week. And we'll be back next Thursday, 8 p.m.-ish. Mom, I love you. Happy birthday. Elias, happy birthday. And to my grandfather, Super Bowl Sunday, happy birthday to you as well. Hug your loved ones. Al Cintron. I'm out.
Wash, yes.
Oh, my God.